Love, a precious gift, but also a challenging journey. Have you ever felt lost in your relationships? Or wondered how to build a lasting and happy love? Have you ever heard a man say something that made your heart sink, not because it was loud, but because it was cold? Sometimes, disrespect doesn't show up as yelling or anger. It hides in the quiet cruelty of everyday words. Words that make you feel small, unseen, replaceable. In this video, we're going to uncover 7 phrases men say that reveal one powerful truth: they don't truly respect you. If you've ever questioned whether his words were harmless or harmful, this may be the clarity you've been waiting for. Welcome to the channel, Sophia's Knowledge, and my name is Sophia. This is where we share lessons about love, practical experiences, and secrets to building strong relationships. In today's video, Sophia will reveal to you 7 things men say that show he doesn't respect you. If you are looking for a deeper understanding of love and how to develop relationships, don't miss this video. Before watching the video, find a quiet space and put on your headphones so you can feel every word I share. Relax and enjoy this journey with me. Are you ready to embark on this journey? Let's go. Number 1. You always do everything wrong. A dangerous sentence that reveals deep disrespect. When a man tells a woman, "You always do everything wrong," he may not realize it, but those words are sharp knives. They cut through confidence, shake emotional safety, and create a climate of blame and fear in the relationship. At first glance, it may sound like simple frustration or anger. But in truth, this sentence is a strong indicator of disrespect, emotional immaturity, and a toxic mindset. No one in this world does everything wrong. We all make mistakes, but we also try, grow, and learn. When someone uses such a sweeping statement, what they're really saying is, "I don't value your efforts. I don't appreciate what you bring. I want to make you feel small, so I feel bigger." This is not about one mistake or one disagreement. It's about an attitude, a pattern of belittling and undermining. And when that pattern appears in a relationship, it's a red flag you should never ignore. A man who respects you will never make you feel like a constant failure. He may point out mistakes, but he will do so with kindness, with patience, and with the intention to help. He will never use your imperfections to control or criticize you endlessly. Let's break this down further. When he says, "You always do everything wrong," he is generalizing your entire being based on one moment. That kind of language is emotionally abusive. It creates shame. It forces you to question your worth. And worse, it builds a silent fear inside you: maybe I'm not good enough to be loved. Over time, you might begin to walk on eggshells. You second-guess every decision. You stop expressing your opinions. You lose your voice. And that's exactly what a controlling person wants: to silence your strength. The danger of this sentence lies not just in the words, but in the power it tries to take away from you. Let's be clear, a healthy man does not need to humiliate his partner to feel heard. He does not use judgment to mask his own insecurity. He does not confuse power with dominance. Respect in a relationship is about seeing your partner's effort, even when they're not perfect. It's about saying, "I know this didn't go well, but we can fix it together," instead of, "You always mess up." One lifts you. The other breaks you. Some women stay in these relationships, believing that if they try harder, they can stop being wrong. But here's the truth: the problem is not your effort. The problem is his inability to value it. A man who throws this phrase at you repeatedly is not interested in communication. He's interested in control. He wants you to feel dependent on his approval. He wants you to constantly seek validation from him, so he can stay in the position of power. So what can you do when you hear this sentence? First, don't internalize it. Remind yourself that this is not a reflection of your worth, but a reflection of his inability to speak with compassion. Second, speak up. Let him know that such language is not acceptable. You have the right to set boundaries. You have the right to say, "It's okay to feel upset, but it's not okay to speak to me like that." Third, observe the pattern. If this sentence comes up often, if his words are always blaming and never balanced, then you need to consider whether this relationship is truly healthy. You deserve to be with someone who uplifts you, not someone who drags you down with judgment. You deserve conversations, not accusations. You deserve correction with care, not criticism with cruelty. And most importantly, you deserve respect, even when you make mistakes. In the end, relationships are not built on perfection. They're built on how two people treat each other in moments of imperfection. If he cannot handle those moments with grace, then he is not emotionally ready to love you the way you deserve. So the next time you hear, "You always do everything wrong," pause. Don't rush to defend yourself. Don't beg to be seen differently. Instead, ask yourself, why am I in a relationship where I have to fight to be respected? Because love should never require you to shrink. It should never silence your strengths. And it should never come at the cost of your self-worth. What do you think of this lesson? Have you applied something similar in your life? Please share your thoughts or stories in the comments. I will read and respond quickly. Thank you for your attention. Let's continue together. Number 2. I don't owe you an explanation. A statement that breaks emotional trust. When a man says, "I don't owe you an explanation," he's not just avoiding a question. He's dismissing your right to clarity, understanding, and emotional safety. This sentence doesn't just shut down a conversation. It shuts down connection, intimacy, and trust. In a healthy relationship, both partners are open to communication. They may not always have the answers, but they make an effort to explain their choices, especially when those choices impact the other person. Saying, "I don't owe you an explanation," is the opposite of that. It's a verbal wall. It's a declaration of emotional distance and control. At its core, this sentence carries a message: I will do whatever I want, and your feelings are not important enough for me to consider. It removes accountability. It places one person in power and the other in confusion. That is not love. That is emotional manipulation disguised as independence. Let's imagine a scenario. You ask him where he was last night because he didn't call or check in. Instead of simply telling you, he responds with, "I don't owe you an explanation." What's really happening here? He's not protecting his freedom. He's avoiding responsibility. He's shutting you down not because he can't explain, but because he refuses to. This creates a dangerous pattern. Over time, you begin to question yourself. Was I wrong to ask? Am I being too controlling? Maybe I should just let things go. But you are not wrong for wanting to understand. In fact, seeking clarity is a sign of emotional maturity. Refusing to offer it is a sign of emotional immaturity. A man who values your place in his life will never make you feel like your questions are a burden. He will not treat communication as a favor. He will see it as a responsibility, a shared part of loving and building trust. When he says, "I don't owe you an explanation," what he's also saying is, "This relationship is on my terms." He gets to decide what is shared, what is hidden, and when the conversation ends. That's not a partnership. That's control. True intimacy grows in spaces of vulnerability and openness. When one person starts protecting their actions with silence or arrogance, the relationship begins to rot from within. Let's be clear, privacy and secrecy are not the same. Everyone deserves personal space and individuality in a relationship. But when your choices impact the other person, transparency becomes respect. If he disappears for hours, spends money recklessly, hides conversations, or makes decisions that affect both of you, you absolutely deserve an explanation. Not because you're demanding, Not because you're insecure, but because you are an equal part of the relationship. If he can't share simple truths with you, then he's not ready for a mature relationship. And if he uses this phrase often, "I don't owe you an explanation," you must ask yourself, what kind of emotional connection is he really offering? One that is grounded in trust? Or one that only survives as long as you don't ask questions? The sentence is also a form of emotional gaslighting. It makes you question your right to ask. It implies that your concerns are irrational, that you should just accept things without understanding them. That's not love. That's power play. Healthy love invites conversation. It says, "Let me help you understand." It says, "Even if I'm uncomfortable, I'll try to explain because you matter to me." It says, "You're not just here to smile and stay silent. You're here to grow with me, and I respect that." So if a man constantly tells you he owes you nothing, maybe you owe yourself something more. You owe yourself a relationship where you're not left in the dark. You owe yourself the right to be curious without being punished for it. You owe yourself a connection where explanation is not a burden, but a basic gesture of care. And most importantly, you owe yourself respect, from both your partner and yourself. Because a man who refuses to explain his actions is not protecting his boundaries. He's protecting his ego. He's protecting his secrets. And he's avoiding the emotional work that true love requires. So the next time you hear, "I don't owe you an explanation," remember, that sentence says more about his character than your worth. You're not asking for too much. You're just asking for the bare minimum: honesty, respect, and clarity. And if he can't give you that, then it's not your job to stay silent. It's your responsibility to walk away from anything that demands your silence in exchange for love. If you are still watching the video, do not hesitate to comment "Continue." Leave your thoughts and questions below in the comment section. I look forward to hearing your opinions, and do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel so that Sophia has more motivation to create more good and meaningful videos. Let's continue together. Number 3. Don't make such a big deal out of it, it's nothing. The subtle sentence that silences your feelings. When a man says, "Don't make such a big deal out of it, it's nothing," it may sound like a harmless statement. It may even sound like he's trying to calm things down. But beneath the surface, this sentence carries a toxic message: your feelings are not important. This phrase is a form of emotional dismissal. Instead of listening to your concerns, understanding your perspective, or validating your experience, he minimizes it. He pushes it aside. He tells you, without saying it directly, that what hurts you doesn't matter to him. The damage of this sentence lies not in its volume, but in its subtlety. It teaches you to doubt your emotions. It tells you to stop trusting your instincts. It makes you question whether you're too sensitive, too emotional, or overreacting. And over time, it silences you. This sentence is especially dangerous because it often shows up in moments when you're already vulnerable. Maybe you're trying to express hurt. Maybe something he did made you feel small or insecure. Instead of saying, "Tell me more," he shuts you down with, "It's nothing." But it's not nothing to you. If it affects your peace, your trust, or your sense of emotional safety, then it's something. And if he truly cares, he will never make you feel ashamed for expressing that. Let's break it down further. When someone says, "Don't make such a big deal out of it," they are not trying to solve the problem. They are trying to avoid it. They are choosing comfort over connection. They would rather escape the discomfort of the conversation than deal with the reality that they may have hurt you. This is not maturity. This is not emotional intelligence. This is avoidance wrapped in a calm voice. And when it happens often enough, you begin to internalize the belief that your emotions are a burden. You begin to suppress how you feel just to keep the peace. You start telling yourself, "Maybe I am making it too big of a deal." but you're not. A man who respects you will never make you feel small for having feelings. He will not try to control the narrative of your pain. He will sit with it, even when it's uncomfortable, because he understands that real love is built on empathy. The phrase also reveals something deeper about the man who uses it. He is emotionally unavailable. He does not know how to deal with emotional complexity. So, he uses dismissal as a defense mechanism. But that's not your responsibility to fix. You cannot teach someone how to care if they don't want to learn. You cannot force someone to value your emotions if they see them as inconvenient. And you certainly should not stay in a relationship where your emotional truth is constantly questioned or downplayed. This sentence, "It's nothing," also sets a dangerous precedent. It creates a double standard. When he's upset, he expects understanding. When you're upset, he expects silence. That is not partnership. That is emotional imbalance. You deserve more than that. You deserve someone who leans in when you speak, not someone who walks away. You deserve someone who says, "I may not fully understand, but I want to try," instead of, "Why are you being so dramatic?" You deserve someone who sees your emotions not as a problem, but as a window into your soul. If a man constantly tells you that you're making things bigger than they are, then he's not truly seeing you. He's only seeing what's convenient for him. So the next time someone tells you, "Don't make such a big deal out of it," pause. Ask yourself, is this really nothing? Or is it just easier for him to pretend it is? Because a man who cannot honor your truth will never be able to protect your heart. Remember, your emotions are not too much. Your voice is not too loud. Your feelings are not dramatic. They are valid. They are real. And they are worthy of being heard. In a world that often asks women to be quiet, calm, and accommodating, you must stand firm in your right to speak your truth. You are not too sensitive. You are not too emotional. You are simply someone who feels deeply, and that is a strength, not a flaw. The man who deserves your heart will never minimize your pain. He will listen, even when it's hard. He will hold space, even when it's messy. And he will never call your pain nothing. Because to the right person, your emotions are not an inconvenience. They are a map to your inner world, and he will treat them with care. Number 4. I'll do whatever I want. You have no right to interfere. A clear sign of emotional disregard. When a man tells you, "I'll do whatever I want," you have no right to interfere. It is more than just a declaration of independence. It is a bold dismissal of your value, your voice, and your place in the relationship. It is one of the clearest signs that he does not see the partnership as equal, and worse, he does not believe he owes you consideration or accountability. At the surface, it may sound like a man trying to assert his freedom. But in reality, this sentence reveals a deeply rooted sense of emotional selfishness. It shows that he views the relationship as something that serves him, not something that should be nurtured by mutual care and respect. When someone is truly committed to a healthy relationship, they understand that their actions do not exist in a vacuum. What they do affects their partner. What they choose matters. Not only to them but to the person they claim to love. Saying, "You have no right to interfere," is like saying, "Your feelings are irrelevant, your opinions are unwelcome, and your presence in my life is conditional upon your silence." This statement is not just arrogant. It is controlling. It's a subtle way to say, "I will make the rules. You will live by them." But love is not dictatorship. Love is dialogue. Love is shared decision-making. If your partner refuses to include you in discussions about things that impact the relationship, his behavior, his choices, his actions, then he's not looking for a partner. He's looking for a passive participant in a story that revolves solely around him. Let's break down the emotional consequences of this sentence. When a man repeatedly expresses that you have no right to question or be involved in his decisions, He is slowly conditioning you to accept disrespect. At first, it might be about small things. How he spends his free time, how he talks to other women, or how he handles money. But over time, the message grows louder: your opinions don't matter. Your concerns are overreactions. Your presence is optional unless you stay quiet. This is how emotional erosion begins. You stop speaking up. You stop asking questions. You stop expressing what hurts you. Not because you don't care, but because you're tired of being made to feel like an outsider in your own relationship. A healthy man does not see his partner as a threat to his freedom. He sees her as a trusted voice, a wise counsel, and a valuable presence. He welcomes her input. He listens when she's uncomfortable. He considers her feelings before making choices that could cause pain or confusion. But when he says, "I'll do whatever I want," he is prioritizing his ego above everything else. He's not protecting his freedom. He's protecting his power. He wants to act without consequence, without explanation, and without emotional responsibility. That's not love. That's emotional neglect disguised as independence. And here's what's most painful about it: you may start to think that the only way to keep the peace is to stop caring. But that's a dangerous compromise. When you begin to silence yourself for the sake of peace, you're no longer in a relationship, you're in a silent agreement to be invisible. You deserve more than that. You deserve a voice that is heard. You deserve a space that is safe. You deserve a partner who asks, "How do you feel about this?" not one who declares, "Stay out of it." Relationships are built on shared responsibility. They are not a license for one person to move recklessly while the other stays behind to pick up the emotional pieces. So what should you do when you hear this sentence? Start by recognizing it for what it is, a red flag. Don't romanticize it as confidence. Don't justify it as independence. Understand that this kind of language is rooted in emotional immaturity and disrespect. Set a boundary. Let him know that you are not asking to control him, you are asking to be treated like someone whose emotions matter. If he continues to ignore your voice, you must ask yourself the harder question: am I in a relationship, or am I just witnessing someone else's life from the sidelines? The right man will never make you feel like you're trespassing when you care. He will never make you feel like your love is an intrusion. He will never declare independence from the very relationship he chose to build. Because real love doesn't fear involvement. It invites it. It nurtures it. And it grows stronger because of it. If you're in a relationship where your presence is only accepted when silent, it's time to stop questioning yourself and start questioning whether that relationship truly honors who you are. Number 5. What do women know? A sentence that reveals deep disrespect and misogyny. When a man says, "What do women know?" it may sound like a passing remark. Some might even brush it off as sarcasm or a poor attempt at humor. But make no mistake, this is not just a sentence. It is a direct reflection of how he views women, and more importantly, how he views you. At its core, this statement is not about knowledge or intelligence. It is about power. It is about superiority. And it is about placing women beneath men in value, voice, and contribution. When this sentence appears in a relationship, it's not just an insult. It's a warning. A warning that you are not being seen as an equal. A warning that your opinions will be consistently dismissed. A warning that no matter how intelligent, capable, or experienced you are, he will still see you as less than simply because you are a woman. This sentence does not come from love. It comes from arrogance. It comes from deeply ingrained sexism that has no place in a healthy partnership. A man who says, "What do women know?" is not just being offensive. He is revealing that he doesn't trust your voice. He does not respect your insight. And worse, he may believe that being a man automatically makes him more qualified, more rational, or more correct in every situation. That belief is toxic. And if left unchallenged, it will slowly erode your confidence. It will make you second-guess your instincts. It will make you shrink in moments when you should speak up. It will make you doubt yourself not because you're wrong, but because someone close to you keeps telling you that your gender makes you less capable. Over time, these words do more than sting. They shape the dynamic of the relationship. He becomes the decider. You become the follower. He speaks. You stay quiet. He acts. You adjust. But that is not love. That is control disguised as confidence. Let's be clear. Gender does not determine intelligence. It does not define wisdom. And it certainly does not dictate who has the right to speak and be heard. Some men use this sentence as a way to win arguments. When they feel threatened, when they feel they might be wrong, they don't respond with humility. Instead, they use belittling language to shift the focus off their own weaknesses and onto your gender. That's not strength. That's cowardice. A secure man does not need to diminish a woman to feel powerful. He does not need to insult to feel superior. He does not confuse masculinity with dominance. He welcomes his partner's insight. He values her perspective. He celebrates her intellect, her intuition, and her ability to see what he may not. But a man who mocks or questions your capabilities based on your gender is not only disrespectful, he's dangerous to your emotional growth. Because the more you stay in an environment where your voice is minimized, the more you forget how powerful it truly is. So what should you do if you hear this sentence? First, do not excuse it. Don't laugh it off. Don't tell yourself, he didn't mean it. He did. And even if he spoke in frustration, what someone says in anger often reveals what they truly believe. Second, set a boundary. Let him know that this kind of language is unacceptable. Tell him clearly that your intelligence is not up for debate. That your contributions matter. That your gender does not make you less valuable. If he defends his words instead of reflecting on them, that tells you everything you need to know. A man who cannot admit when he's being sexist will only repeat that behavior. Third, decide what kind of relationship you want. Do you want to spend your life proving your worth to someone who has already decided not to see it? Or do you want to be with someone who sees your strength without needing to be reminded? The right man does not say, "What do women know?" He says, "Tell me what you think." He says, "I didn't consider that. Thank you for bringing it up." He says, "You're right. I hadn't seen it that way." Because real love is not afraid of a woman's intelligence. It celebrates it. It grows because of it. And it becomes stronger when both voices are valued equally. So if a man tells you, "What do women know?" remember this, you know more than he will ever understand, because true wisdom begins where ego ends. And a man who chooses ego over empathy will never be able to love you the way you deserve. Number 6. I don't care what you think. A sentence that kills emotional intimacy. Few sentences cut as deeply as the words, "I don't care what you think." It's more than just a cold response. It's a clear message of emotional detachment, disregard, and disrespect. In a relationship where love is supposed to be mutual, this sentence acts as a wall that shuts down trust, communication, and connection. When someone says this to you, they're not just ending a conversation. They're ending the value of your voice in the relationship. They are saying, "Your thoughts don't matter. Your opinion holds no weight. I will continue doing what I want, regardless of how it affects you." This sentence is brutal. It's dismissive. And above all, it's a form of emotional violence. Because love is built on care. It's built on listening, even when it's hard. It's built on trying to understand the other person's world, even when you disagree. But when someone says, "I don't care what you think," they're choosing to abandon the very foundation of what makes love real. Let's talk about what this sentence actually reveals. First, it shows a lack of emotional maturity. A mature partner, even when upset, will acknowledge your perspective. They may not agree with you. They may feel strongly about their own position. But they will not invalidate your entire viewpoint just to win. Second, it reveals a desire for control. When someone no longer considers your thoughts, it means they are no longer interested in shared decision-making. It's a clear attempt to silence your influence and reinforce a one-sided dynamic where only their needs matter. Third, it communicates complete emotional disengagement. If someone truly loves you, they care about what you think, even if what you think is inconvenient, uncomfortable, or challenging. Love does not walk away when conversations become difficult. Love leans in. But when someone utters those words, "I don't care what you think," they're telling you they have already decided to stop trying. Let's imagine a situation. You express that something he's doing is hurting you. Maybe it's the way he flirts with other women. Maybe it's the way he dismisses your ideas in front of others. Maybe it's how he makes major life decisions without consulting you. You come forward, not with anger, but with honesty, hoping for understanding, for a real conversation. And his response is, "I don't care what you think." That moment is a turning point. Because in that moment, he chooses dominance over dialogue. He chooses power over partnership. He chooses pride over compassion. And when that happens, the relationship becomes a one-way street. A healthy relationship cannot exist without care for each other's thoughts. It doesn't matter how long you've been together. It doesn't matter how passionate the love once was. When one person stops caring about what the other thinks, love begins to rot from the inside. Now, let's talk about the emotional impact on you. Hearing those words can feel like a slap to the heart. You begin to question your relevance in the relationship. You start to ask yourself, am I just here for convenience? Do my feelings even matter anymore? You may feel ashamed for caring, for speaking up, for even having a voice. But you need to remember this truth: your thoughts are valid. Your voice matters. No one has the right to make you feel small for thinking, feeling, or expressing. Especially not someone who claims to love you. If a man truly respects you, he will never shut you down. He will never say, "I don't care what you think," because he understands that your thoughts are part of who you are. And loving someone means loving the way they see the world, even when it's different from your own. So what should you do when you hear this sentence? First, don't accept it as normal. This is not how healthy love sounds. This is not a temporary outburst. This is a reflection of how much value he places on your inner world. Second, do not chase his approval. Don't beg him to listen. Don't try to convince him that you're worthy of being heard. You are worthy. You always were. And someone who refuses to see that is not someone you need to prove yourself to. Third, ask yourself the most important question: do I want to spend my life with someone who doesn't care what I think? Because your thoughts are not just thoughts. They are your truth. They are your insight. They are the foundation of every decision you make. You deserve a relationship where your truth is not ignored, but embraced. Where your thoughts are not silenced, but invited. Where your voice is not a nuisance, but a gift. And if he can't care about what you think, then maybe he's not the right one to build your future with. Because the man who truly loves you will never treat your mind like it's invisible. He will want to know what you think. He will want to understand why you feel the way you do. And he will care, not because he has to, but because that's what love naturally does. It listens. It learns. And it grows. Number 7. If you don't like it, go find someone else. The sentence that reveals he's ready to let you go. When a man says, "If you don't like it, go find someone else," he's not just reacting in frustration. He's revealing something much deeper, and much colder, about how he views the relationship. This sentence isn't just dismissive. It's a threat disguised as freedom. It's a form of emotional manipulation designed to make you feel replaceable, powerless, and afraid to speak up again. At its core, this sentence is a form of emotional abandonment. Instead of working through a disagreement, instead of validating your concerns or even acknowledging the conflict, he throws out the ultimate escape hatch. He tells you, in no uncertain terms, that your discomfort is not worth addressing. And worse, that your presence is not worth keeping. This sentence is not just a defense mechanism. It's a test. He wants to see how much you're willing to tolerate. He wants to see if you'll beg, if you'll back down, if you'll compromise more of yourself just to stay in his world. And if you do, it gives him power. It tells him that no matter how poorly he behaves, you will stay. It tells him that you are more afraid of losing him than he is of losing you. But here's what you must remember: love should never make you feel disposable. No man who truly values you would ever throw your love back at you like it's an inconvenience. No man who respects you would ever suggest that your only choice is to leave if you're not happy. When he says, "Go find someone else," he is shifting the blame. He is refusing to take accountability. He is avoiding the emotional responsibility that real relationships require. Instead of asking, "Why do you feel this way?" or "How can we work through this together?" he flips the entire burden onto you. It's not about fixing the problem anymore. It's about making you feel like you're the problem. And that's a dangerous dynamic. Over time, hearing this kind of sentence creates fear. You start holding back. You become afraid to voice your needs or disappoint him. You convince yourself that you're being too demanding, too emotional, too sensitive. You try harder to be easier to love. But in doing that, you slowly abandon yourself. You stop being honest. You stop being seen. You start believing that if you ever push too far, speak too loudly, or feel too deeply, he'll just leave, or worse, ask you to. But here's the truth: someone who genuinely cares will never weaponize the idea of losing them. They won't threaten to walk away just because the relationship got uncomfortable. They won't make your love feel conditional, something you only get to keep if you stay quiet. A healthy man won't say, "Go find someone else." He'll say, "Let's talk about this." He'll say, "I didn't realize this was hurting you." He'll say, "I want to understand, because I want us to work." When a man uses this sentence often, it's usually because he wants to maintain the upper hand. He wants you to feel like he is the prize. He wants you to feel like you're lucky to have him, and if you're not satisfied, the exit door is always open. That's not love. That's emotional blackmail. Because if you stay, he believes it's because you've accepted his terms. And if you leave, he can say, "Well, I told you to." Either way, he wins. But real love doesn't play games with your heart like that. Real love doesn't make you prove your worth over and over again just to be heard. Real love is not afraid of discomfort. It faces it. It grows through it. It stays when it's hard, not just when it's convenient. So what should you do when someone tells you, "If you don't like it, go find someone else"? Pause. Don't react from fear. Don't beg for him to stay. Ask yourself, do I want to be with someone who speaks to me like I'm a burden? Because that sentence reveals everything about how he views the relationship. And more importantly, how he views your place in it. You are not replaceable. You are not a problem to be pushed away. You are not an emotional burden that he's forced to carry. You are a human being worthy of respect, communication, and care. The right man will never dare you to leave. He will fight for the relationship with maturity, with patience, and with heart. Because love is not about seeing how far someone can bend before they break. It's about seeing how strong you can both stand together, even when things are messy. So if someone tells you to leave, don't just hear the words. Hear the truth behind them. And know that sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is walk away from someone who thought you never would. Conclusion. In every relationship, words matter. They reflect how someone sees you, values you, and ultimately, how much they respect you. A man who truly respects you will never say things like "you always do everything wrong," "I don't care what you think," or "go find someone else." These aren't just moments of anger or frustration. They are clear signals that he does not see you as an equal, as a partner, or as someone whose feelings are worth protecting. Respect is the foundation of love. Without it, even the most passionate relationship becomes hollow. These 7 phrases are not just hurtful, they are signs that something is fundamentally broken. When a man repeatedly dismisses your thoughts, belittles your intelligence, or makes you feel replaceable, he is not loving you. He is trying to control the narrative, one where his voice matters and yours does not. But you are not powerless. You don't have to fight to be heard. You don't have to explain why your feelings deserve respect. You simply need to remember your worth. You deserve a relationship where your voice is welcomed, your opinions are valued, and your presence is cherished. You deserve a partner who leans in when things get tough, not one who pushes you away with cruel words. Never let someone's inability to respect you convince you to lower your standards. Because real love never silences. It listens. It honors. And it always respects. Thank you for watching today's video. I'm so excited to share my lessons about love and relationships with you. I hope you learned something new and can apply it to your life. If you find the video useful, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. Thank you for always accompanying and supporting me. Have a great day and don't forget to love yourself a lot.